Make it 5 games in a row, oh Jinx King. But they moved up in the standings. Hey, just because the NHL point system sucks doesn't mean you don't. Finally!
Go Canadian fire!
Country!
Deal with it.
Neon Smash!
Owen Grabowski.
GTFO. I got it from afar. Leafs lose 5-4 in the shootout to the Winnipeg Jets. But they move up to 6th place in the East, so I'm happy with the loss. I now know what it's like to cheer for last year's Florida Panthers. So how do we do this? Let's start with Lupul. Boom! Scores a big goal, first shift, first shot, bam! Now, I've tweeted some Twitters about him, but let me say, I have the utmost respect for Joffrey Lupul. That was his first NHL goal in about a year due to injuries and the lockout, and the only other professional goal he had in that time span was he scored 1 goal in 9 games in the KHL during the lockout, with Avdimo Balist, who was by far the worst team in the league this season. And, you know, I followed that league, so I'm watching this decision going, what is he even doing? And some people tweeted, well, he's got a friend or two on the team, and I'm like, yeah, but they're pretty terrible. And then some of you pointed out, look at everything he's been through. Look at everything he's had to deal with in the last couple of years. He just wants to play hockey. And you saw it in his intensity last night. Lupul is happy to be back. And he's not the perfect player. He's got some flaws in his game. But when you play with a player who has that much passion, you'll probably win more than you lose. Well, there I am jinxing everything again because then the Jets went up 4-1. One thing we've commended the Leafs for is, you know, they fall down, they go really far behind, but they found a way to come back in a bunch of these games. But through the love fest and giving them all this credit, we kind of forget, oh wait, but they still fall behind, and that's kind of the root of the problem. And I think out of anything, advanced stats, young guys, old guys, injuries, out of anything, the biggest problem the Leafs have had this season is playing a full 60. And they took like a 10-minute nap in the second, and that's it. But before the second is over, Kulemin scores, and I'm going to talk about him later in the video. And Lupul scores his second of the game. He's related to the Kulemin topic, and the Leafs are within 1. And the online hockey sphere was kind of a buzz with a few things. Lupul scoring his first goal since returning. Patrick Kane scoring that cool 360 goal. Alex Burrows scoring 6 seconds into the Canucks game. But you know where they forgot? Bozak's backhand sauce over to Kessel, partial breakaway, and in. The Leafs got some nice ones, the Jets got some nice ones. This was the nicest goal in the game. And we always talk about how Kessel would look so much better with a different center other than Bozak. And it's true, it's probably true. But then he does stuff like that. And the Leafs are at a super frustrating point with Bozak because he's not as good as people say he is. He's not as bad as people say he is. Word is, in his new contract, he wants to make $4 million this season. And he'll probably get it. And the weird thing is, he probably deserves it. You can look at his numbers, but if I'm his agent, I'm looking at what the Leafs are signing him to do, and that's to be their top-line center. If you want my client to be your top-line center, screw you, pay him! If I'm that agent, you can go ahead and put that stat sheet down. We're not going to look at that. My client is playing 20 minutes a night with your team's best players, and you shall compensate him in a way that represents that. That's probably how negotiations are going to go, guys. Fast forward through the skills competition, the Jets score in round 10, Zach Bogosian. And I don't care if the Leafs won, I still hate the shootout. And I get people chirping me every time I say that, like, what, you don't find this exciting? You know what? I do find the shootout exciting. I also find paintball exciting. You know what would be pretty exciting? Dodgeball on skates. If at the end of 5 minutes of overtime, neither team has managed to win the game, both benches empty, the Jets take one side of the ice, the Leafs take the other, dodgeball. If you got players remaining at the end of the game, you'll win. Congratulations. Every time overtime begins, there's something crazy that happens in the first minute and a half, and I can't get excited because I'm like, well, this is just going to end in 2 seconds. What made it interesting, though, is the Leafs had Phaneuf and the Jets had Byfuglien, who just went LOL defense. I've just never watched an overtime and gone, man, I can't wait till this is over. So the Leafs lose in an exciting, high-octane, high-excitement game in a skills competition. So let's move on to the Nikolai Kulemin topic. You've kind of seen it in a few of the moves Nonis has made. The Leafs are in a very interesting position of selling at this trade deadline, I think. And I mean selling even if they're in a P-word position that I'm not allowed to say anymore. The second Nonis took office, he got rid of Lombardi. Tim Connolly is still in the minors, and there's word that he has some trade value. Lyles has been benched a lot more than he hasn't been this season. And Mike Komisarek has been scratched a lot more. And they just shed David Steckel. Between Steckel, who's already gone, Lombardi, who's already gone, Connolly, who's in the minors but could be gone soon, Lyles and Komisarek, You know how much cap room you could free up? And at this point, trading those players doesn't even make the Leafs worse. You're just shedding the fat. And the Leafs obviously got some names on the roster like Bozak and MacArthur that people are always bringing up in trade rumors. Can I say one roster guy I think the Leafs should consider trading? Mikhail Grabowski, because Randy Carlyle never plays him and he didn't even use him in a 10-round shootout? No, not him, but that's pretty crazy. Nikolai Kulemin, and I'll even tell you who too. The Penguins. It's been rumored for years that the Penguins are interested in Kulemin, and looking at the Penguins, they're a perfect team. Except for the fact they can't defend their way out of a wet paper bag. But Penguins fans, hear me out. If you get Kulemin, you get a legitimate second or third line option and a guy who can play on your penalty kill. And he grew up playing with Malkin in Russia, and during the lockout, Kulemin, Malkin, and Sergei Mysakin were part of the greatest line in hockey, period, for several months. And you can laugh and go, oh, it's the KHL, but it was the greatest line in hockey for a few months. I wouldn't count on Kulemin being a consistent scoring threat. You put him on the third line for the most part, put him on the penalty kill, but if chemistry problems arise or you just need that little extra spark, he might be able to get it done with Malkin. Worst case scenario on that line, he's an extremely underrated physical player, and he can make room for Malkin and Neal, who really don't need you to make room for them, but still. So that's just my 2 cents. Question of the game, what do you think Nikolai Kulemin is worth to a team like the Pittsburgh Penguins, or someone else who would want him in a trade? Or better yet, what is Nonis going to do with this trade deadline? Do you know? Because I don't. That's all for this video. Check out the post-game blog in the Underbar. We also got the Toronto Marlies post-game blog in the Underbar. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.